here. If you are doing group sales calls, live group sales calls at all, webinars, masterclass, launches, challenges, events, you name it, I got an insight that's going to explode some results for you. And I have another additional insight that will help you start seeing how to build your tomorrow business at the same time you're building your now money now business so that you can win in the moment and reproduce growth opportunities, business that you're growing into in ways to be able to fulfill on your lifetime journey and deliver great results. Sound good? Cool. So get ready for high revenue business insight coming at you right now. I'm Jim Padilla with Gain the Edge. A lot of you know me. If you don't, stick around. You're going to learn a little bit more. Hey, my wife and I, we specialize in building high revenue business models, scaling companies, taking them from profitable to viable to buyable. Now, are there other ways to run a business besides building a high revenue business model? Well, sure there are. But if you want to live a good life, have profit, be able to pay all your bills, be able to build a legacy, build a life of your dreams, and help as many people as you can, I personally don't know any other way to do it without high revenue. Now, if you know more than that, then you may be smarter than me, and please share it with me because I would love to know how the heck do we make greater impact with lesser revenue. So let's dive in to the insights here. I have a client. We have a client who's super pumped. She's awesome. She's a rock star, and she was doing a live masterclass. She does them weekly, like you might. And I was jumping on simply to be some support and audit and check this out, see what was going on. And we've run many, many, many launches, hundreds of launches, events, challenges, live masterclasses, etc. And we've developed a lot of strategies and insights along the way, as you can imagine, along the way to generating hundreds of millions of dollars, nearly $500 million approaching, and over 300,000 sales conversations. We just had the ability to see some things that most people will never get to see simply because they haven't had the access and the opportunity to see that kind of volume. So we want to share with you the stuff that we know is working, the good, the bad, the ugly, so that you can also start building that high revenue business model and doing things smarter, saving time, and God willing, save you a bunch of pain as well. Okay. So we're on this masterclass, jumping on board. And this is a simple concept, but it's something that has to get done because too many people are walking by revenue all the time. Literally every time we see an event happening, there's always people who are leaving money on the table. And here's a simple way to make this go. So now I showed up on this masterclass simply for the purpose of, where is that? There we go. To observe and just to see what was happening in the environment and what small tweaks could I offer to increase some conversions. And then in the meantime, what I did was I was there. This spreadsheet didn't exist. And I was watching and I started noticing. I was keeping track. My instinct default, I just started writing timestamp, how many people were on, how many people were on video, and what was happening in the chat. So I just started creating it. And all of a sudden I had this here at the spreadsheet I was starting to write it down. So then I just created a quick spreadsheet. Said, okay, boom, timestamp, how many people were on, how many people are on video, right? And then of course, as you can see, at 11:42 mark, which was 42 minutes into training, the offer drop, and then you can see sales activity happening. But the interesting part, and this is what I want you to be able to pay attention to first and foremost, the insight here is track. You need to have somebody tracking everything. There needs to be a system and a process and a strategy to make sure this is happening. This is unforced errors if you don't. This is an easy mistake. If you are having this, it's going to lead to some really good opportunities that I'm going to show you in a minute. If you're not doing it, you are literally walking away from increasing conversions and delivering better service and a better experience for the end user. Okay, so we want to explode your live group sales calls. Okay, that's what we're looking to do. So as you can see here with this spreadsheet, I'm practicing. I'm not a pro on live stream just yet, but I'm in the process of. All right. So what happens is as you are watching this call, as this starts moving, this is what is doing. And so here's the first thing. I didn't just jump in and go, how do I make more sales? My immediate response was, what needs to happen in this environment? So I sat back for a moment and I looked and I said, okay, great. What can I do to drive more sales, do more than just give them some insight, give them a resource, a strategy, and a plan? while at the same time capturing this plan and this resource so that I can then turn it into a resource for you and for our team and something that is replicated. Okay, so I'll get back to that in a minute. That's part of insight number 2, and I'll show you how that works. Right, so here's what happens. As we get done with this, we jump on a call, and a 5-minute call with the team, and I said, here's what you're going to do. Okay, let's track, because I started tracking everybody. I wrote down all the names of all the people who were on video. And as you can see, each timestamp, I was looking at how many people were on the call and how many of them were on video. And that, of course, is a moving target, both of them. So every 5 minutes, someone's tracking how many people are attending, how many are on video. That's somebody's job. Or if you're an AI whiz, then figure out how to get AI to do it. But make sure that's happening. And then you're writing down the names of the people who are on video and keeping track of what's happening in the chat, so that as there's high energy comments happening, you're tracking who those people are, who are making those high energy comments. High energy on the positive side, high energy on the negative side. So people could be commenting about, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm so excited for what I'm going to be able to do. That's high energy positive. Somebody on the downside is like, oh my God, if I don't change this, my life is never going to change. I have to figure out a solution. That's high energy on the negative side. So those high energy comments are going to drive what you do in the moment to connect and communicate with those people. And afterwards, this is your follow-up strategy. So we're building this in place, and I'm simply taking all these comments down and notice. And then at the same time, I'm asking, okay, what's the system for making sure this happens so that we can replicate this right away? And so as we delivered this to the team, who's going to follow up, here was the instruction. We said, boom, we have a list of all the people. We have a list of all the people on video and the people who had observable high energy comments in the chat. And there was 157 some odd comments. So it certainly could have missed many of them. But now what they do is to save the chat from the Zoom webinar, from the training, and then you reconcile. There's 10 people who purchased in the call, as you can see here. You reconcile the 10 people who purchased against the names in the chat and the names in the video. First thing we're looking for is who purchased, so you can highlight them and get them out of the way. Then post what we're going to be looking at this and start determining, of the people who were on video, how many of them bought? Of the people who were on chat, how many of them bought? And of the people who were on both, if they were on video and engaged in the chat, you should have action takers, right? So, but we want to make sure that we're always verifying those metrics and those KPIs, so we know what are the activities, the metrics of significance that matter. So in this training, in this webinar, people who are on video and engaged in chat, metric of significance, those are the people who are buying largely. Then of the people who aren't buying, if they were not on video and not on chat, it doesn't mean you don't follow up with them, but you treat them a little differently, because they didn't say they didn't buy. So that's one thing, but we don't know what their status was because they never came on video and they didn't get engaged in the chat. So you start with the high priority, right? It's always about proximity and behavior. Who's doing the behavior and how recently did they do it? So you're following up with the people who were on video and the people who were on chat, especially with the high energy comments. You're only engaging them around the comment that they were placing. You're not showing up to talk to them about the product and the program. You're literally following up to see what's going on about this thing they said. And are they still wanting to get it solved? And how can we help? You know, what happened inside this group moment? Maybe you couldn't share publicly. We would love to be able to support that and take this problem off your plate so that we can eliminate it. That's all you're talking about. Okay, that's the frame of the conversation. Okay, so now you have, in this moment, we had like 13 people of the 57 people who were on the webinar at its peak who are going to be getting this follow-up process. Okay, so this is something that will change the game for you. Number one, make sure that chats are happening. Do everything you can to increase chats, because you can't even get the chats. You can't even evaluate those if you don't have people chatting. You need people chatting. And the deeper you get into your live group call, more people will be willing to come on video over the course of the training, because if they're still on, they're still connecting with you. So use the leverage that you're gaining, the rapport you're building with, hey, I'd love to see you come on video. Hey, what can I do to see this, to help this happen? Just keep making the ask. You would be amazed. Another one or two will come on. Another one or two will come on. Pretty soon you've got 30 people on video instead of the 18 that we peaked at. Okay, so make sure that you're doing that consistently. And then you're doing is giving your team the greatest possible chance to engage these people. Because if they're not on video, not in chat, when you're following up with them, you really don't know what happened. You're not even sure why they were there or what their pain points or what their excitement was about. So you want to make sure you're giving the opportunity for as much of that to happen as possible. And then your team can follow up accordingly. Okay, but here's the beauty thing. You want to think about this from a leverage and scale perspective. And insight number 2 here is, let me give you a quick story. Jocko Willink, who's fastly become America's favorite retired SEAL. This guy's brilliant. I love the way he thinks and his perspective. But he was talking about when they were in Iraq and they were doing some ground insurgents. And apparently they were going into, forgive my terms, I'm not a military guy, but they had a team of guys and they were getting ready to breach a door. And the guys were like, where's the door? The guys were trying to kick it. Somebody wanted to blow it down, everything. And he backed up, excuse me, as a team leader. And while they were trying to figure out how to get through the door, he was looking around for, is there a better way? And he happened to notice a key position somewhere, literally found the key, and then went up and put it down. So I'm sitting in this spot. I love that perspective. And I think about that a lot. So in the middle of all the chaos, while everybody else is trying to move the thing, I'm looking around going, what else can we do here? So I could have very easily just taken notes and then shared them with our client. I could have just engaged and got chat going, which is one of the things I did. I was teasing the chat to try to prompt people with some provocative questions and comments, right? And I could have done that and just been part of the transaction. But instead I was, okay, what can I do right now that I can deliver value into the moment, capture it, give a quick execution plan, and do this in a manner that is totally replicatable for us. So that now literally in this same 1 hour that was spent, we tracked sales, we engaged a better activities environment, so we made more sales. We identified the hot prospects and why, and gave them an action plan to follow. And we created a template and a resource that if you would like access to, please let me know in the chat and we'll be sending it to you if you're interested in that, so you can have this resource too. But we created it as a resource. We'll create it as an opt-in. We're creating it as a product. And like you, as the expert of the thing you do, I'm the expert on building high revenue business models and scaling people, right, from profitable to viable to viable. So I can talk about any topic on that journey for hours. I can do it for 15 minutes like we're doing here. I can do it for an hour-long presentation. I can do it in a 3-day conference. Okay, so now this becomes something we can consult on. This becomes something we can build and design and deploy. This becomes a simple resource that you can have access to and run with. So what we're doing is this allows us to have more resource, more lifetime value journey. So all of our clients can benefit from this. And this is something that they can engage as a tool. They can hire us to deploy and execute or consult on. This is another way to extend our lifetime value journey to our clients who all benefit from this. And I want you thinking about that in your business. What are you doing every time you create something? Are you documenting it, capturing it, and seeing what are the components? What's the rules of engagement? What is the thing I need here? What is the resource? How can I deploy it? Who can deploy it? And what's the system around it? If it's an opt-in, what's going to be the hook? What's going to be the draw? What's going to be the back end, right? What's going to be the email sequence? What is it going to lead to? What is the next obvious problem? Is there an event behind this thing, right? All of a sudden, we got an entire revenue stream built just because of this 1 hour that I spent. And because I was sat back and thought for 5 minutes instead of just jumping in and pushing buttons and turning knobs, which is what most of us do as problem solvers. So that's your high revenue business model insight. There'll be a lot more coming. We got a whole bunch of high revenue business insights as we're discovering them, and as we're thinking of, as we're building things, we're going to keep coming back to you, sharing the insight, the kind of results, and the things that happen, so that you can start sharing this stuff too. And of course, at any point in time, you want help from us, I'm always happy to jump on a call with you and see what we can do to make some magical things happen for you and grow your business. Okay, you can always book a call with me anytime you feel like, and go to connectwithjim.com. I'd love to see what's going on in your business and how we could put my multi-$100 million, 9-figure business brain on your business, so we can explode your results and help you build a high revenue business model and change the game for you. All right. Thanks for checking in. Whatever platform you're on, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up, subscribe. There'll be a lot more coming, and we want to know where we find you. All right, so go make some magic happen. Thanks for trusting us to be part of your success team.